Randy Joy, as many of you know already, and I'm interviewing Matty Amorte. Would you like to introduce yourself? He has a lot of knowledge in the occult.
Hello, I'm Matty Amorte. I'm a tarot reader and clairvoyant, psychic, practitioner in multiple philosophies and magic.
Yeah, and we were having an intellectual conversation about 666. I was asking him some questions about the Morning Star and Satan versus Lucifer and then the number 666. And he was explaining some things to me. So I wanted to interview him on here for you guys so you could hear about these very interesting things. So, all right. Hi. Okay, so I wanted to start with, where does the number 666 come from?
Okay, so a lot of people are like afraid of this number, 666, and when they see it, they think, bad luck or the end of the world. They think of this apocalyptic, thing, and I just want to elaborate on the origin and the etymology of the number 666 and where it actually comes from and stems from, to kind of clear that up for everyone. 666 originated in ancient Babylon, and this was way before Christ.
The table was shaking.
Oh, sorry.
I was like,
It actually stemmed from ancient Babylon, and it's a numerical value that they used in their society to distinguish and associate their gods. 666 is the equivalent to their sun god, and how they got the number or numeral 666 is through the number 36. And so 1 through 36, when you add all of those together individually, you get 603 score, 666, which their sun god was their supreme god. And then they had a moon goddess, and then they had a first son that was basically like a supreme god as well, kind of like a trinity. And then your other 32 gods were lesser gods. But in ancient Babylon, there were all these gods weren't necessarily all good, like you would see in some Greek mythology or Norse mythology. The Babylonians, they actually believed that a lot of their gods were evil. Only a few are actually good. And so they used to wear these tablets with these numerical values on them. They would wear these amulets that had inscribed on them the mathematical algorithm for their gods. And this is what we call a magical square contemporarily. So a person wearing this magical square would be like, they would wear like the numerical value for 666 on them, and this was highly revered in their society. It was kind of like, if you saw a person wearing this, the gods couldn't affect their fate. It was a protection against all the evil gods and the good ones. So the gods couldn't have power over them, and they could choose their own fate basically by having free will to do whatever they wanted. But this was like a honor in their society as well.
wasn't it was it a seal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a little background on what it is. So what's the difference between like the number 666 and the mark of the beast? And, is there a difference there?
Yeah, there's a big difference. So, the numerical value 666 and the mark of the beast, when we look at monotheism and, Christianity, and we go to the Bible, for reference, we see that, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. We see that
Keep going.
we see that we have what's it called? I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? I lost my train of thought.
The difference between the number and the mark of the beast. So in Revelations, right, we have the number 666 is the sign of the beast, right, or something, or the number of the beast.
Right.
So originally it was like the Roman.
Well, there's like a difference between the mark, a sign, the power, and the beast itself. And in reference to the beast, it was basically code back then, because the Roman Catholic Church actually had power over the Bible at the time, and literature actually in general. I don't know if any of you have actually heard of the Roman book burnings or anything like that, but back then you would either be killed or, exiled from Rome for believing in something else or having literature of anything outside of the source that they believed in. So, like, as far as like the mark of the beast is concerned, everybody, I guess contemporary Christians and other sects, have this thing where they're like, oh, they're going to implant microchips and stuff like that in us, and it's going to be like the mark of the beast, but that has nothing to do with any biblical references whatsoever. The mark itself was actually John referring to the mark of the Catholic Church, because basically what happened is when Persia invaded Babylon, the Babylonians had nowhere to go, especially their priests, and so they kind of dispersed. But in Persia, and they also needed work, so feed their families and things like that. So the Persians took pity on them and adopted one of their gods, Marduk, and then also some of them went to Egypt, and some of them went to Rome. And knowing back then, the Romans favored taking in like pagans and adopting their traditions and religions and things like that, philosophies, and bring it into their own doctrines. And so the Babylonians, knowing this, the Babylonian priests knowing this, they went to Rome and taught people their practices and things like that. And later, it became a practice in Roman Catholicism, and it's really it's really interesting. You can definitely look this up as well. It's definitely a citable thing.
Yeah. So, what's is Satan the same as Lucifer? We're talking about that in terms of 666 and the beast, and everybody's like, well, the beast is Satan, that's the devil, that's Lucifer. Are all of those the same?
No, Satan and Lucifer are two completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucifer is actually stemmed from the Latin word lux and fere.
Yeah, Lux is.
Yeah, lux meaning light, and fere meaning bearer or bringer. And Lucifer actually wasn't even mentioned in the Bible until like midway in Isaiah. I think it was 14:12.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, in Isaiah 14:12, and then on top of that, he's still even being mentioned, was never associated with Satan whatsoever. And
yeah, originally he was like it was changed. He was actually a man, right? He was like a king.
Yeah, originally his name was Hillel ben Shahar, and he was a Babylonian king that they called the Light Bringer. But when the biblical texts were being translated to Latin and Greek, they decided to change the conquering of Ben Shahar to a fallen angel named Lucifer. And by doing so, the correlations there with, this Babylonian king, being the light bringer, the light bearer, etc., with, Lucifer. But nowhere in that text, from the original Greek text or the original Hebraic text, does it say that Ben Shahar was the morning star.
Right. So the morning star is another thing. The morning star is Venus, right?
Yes.
And Venus also represented Christ, the morning. He was called the morning star.
Christ and Lucifer both were referred to as the morning star.
So the morning star would be like the light bearer, in a way. No.
Well, in a way, yes.
Okay. So, do y'all have any questions so far? Anybody have any questions about any of this? You were talking about, the Roman Empire and how that kind of became the Catholic Church, right, at some point. Yeah. So it's all very interesting how everybody's kind of put all of these things together and call them all the same thing, when really they weren't associated with each other, and later people started associating them together. Careful, don't hit the table. It keeps rocking. Good evening. Hello. Does anyone have any questions? I mean, that was a lot of information. So, any clarifications, any questions about anything that's ever, like, you've ever wondered about in terms of any of those terms? Nope. They're all just here for the show. Okay. So we were also talking about the numerology earlier, and how the 36 gods, or were they 36 planetary or constellations?
There's 36 gods that the Babylonians believed in, and then they also correlated 36 constellations. And a lot of the astrology that we use today, when they were dispersed by Persia, that was adopted by the Egyptians, which is what we use today, and also the Romans. The Romans also took some of the practices in astrology from the Babylonians.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the tarot devil adopt its meaning? That's a good question, Ida. Do you know anything about that? I don't. How it adopted its meaning?
Well, I do know that the tarot card, the devil, is associated with materiality, urges,
the beast in a way.
Baphomet, and sexuality.
So it's like restrictions of the physical, bondage to the physical, which binds your soul from the spirit. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard 666 just myself. I've heard people kind of associate it with everything from sacred geometry to different deities and different people, like the Emperor Nero, right? So, I don't know. People associate a lot of these things later on. They'll kind of give it more meaning than it had, I'd like to know what exactly is the meaning of 666. Cast it out from the morning star. Okay, so Teresa's asking, I would like to know what exactly is the meaning of 666. Were you here at the beginning when we were kind of talking about that? You might have missed that. You went over that. Right? Yeah. Do you want to reiterate?
I could reiterate.
In like
That's
2
no problem.
sentences. Yeah.
Okay, so the meaning of 666, or we'll say where it comes from, is from ancient Babylon. And it is a numerical value for the sun god that the Babylonians worshipped.
And they would wear the seal. And so there's 36 gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 33. So if you take out the 3, that would be the Holy Trinity, and 33 left,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they have 33 paths on the tree of life, and we were going over this earlier. 33 is the number of Christ. I think we have 33 vertebrae. It has to do with Kundalini yoga. 33 degrees in like Freemasonry. Yeah. So
Also, the mean of 6 or even 36 has to do with a lot of geometry as well, and sacred geometry as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 360 degrees in a circle, etc.
So which one is 666? What is it, hexagram? Like what's do you know which one's associated with that in sacred geometry?
The one that's associated with a hexagram?
No, the 666.
Oh,
Isn't there
no.
one
I
associated?
don't know that one.
Know. Hey, Sherry. This is Maddie. And we were actually going to come to the OTO the other day. And we didn't get to make it because he got called into work. Yep. So hopefully we'll get to meet him in person soon. Went off. Went out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my internet's really bad here at my friend's house. So it like goes off and on a whole lot when I'm trying to do these videos especially. You can see how the church took some of these beliefs, but I have a bad time with Christ and Satan both being called the morning star. I like it, Cindy.
It's not the address.
Yeah. So the morning star, the light bearer, it's interesting. It's Sherry, I would love to hear your take on this. We should have a conversation with Sherry sometime soon about this stuff. Yeah, I miss you too, Sherry. We have some good conversations too. But what was I saying? Now I'm off.
The morning star, the light bearer.
Oh yeah, the morning star, the light bearer. So you were talking about Venus going into the underworld, into the east, and all of that, and Lucifer, and then the dark. What is it? The Dark Prince, or what were you saying?
Yeah, it's talking about how it's ironic that adopted the sphere of Lucifer and calling him the Prince of Darkness and correlating or equating, Lucifer and Satan together when that was never ever a thing. Like Lucifer is not Satan. And like the Jews themselves don't even believe that Lucifer is Satan.
Right.
They don't even believe Lucifer was ever even a person or even whatsoever.
Yeah.
That was adopted later on in the transliteration of the Bible from Hebraic to Greek into Latin through Emperor Constantine and also
This thing is
James.
Keeps freezing up on us. See? So, yeah, Sherry actually teaches a class on the devil card and the tarot. Yeah. I haven't ever actually been able to see it, though. All right. I remember when I was little and could write the number 6, I got in a ton of trouble for writing 666 everywhere. Carbon molecules. Yeah, actually 36, Sherry, if you're still on, we were talking about that earlier. 36, you turn that over. And you got 93.
93.
Agape.
Yeah.
Love is the law. Is there a page where I could follow him? Actually, we'll share his profile on here. He does readings and stuff. He's very good, actually. So yeah, I'll share his profile on here for you guys. I'll edit the post and put his profile up there. Yeah.
Thank you.
I still tell people that it's my lucky number because that's when I realize that words have power. Oh, nice, Em. I like it. Sherry's here still. When are you going to teach another class on the devil card, Sherry? I wanted to take that class and I wasn't able to that time.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. She teaches some good classes. All right, guys. So any last questions or thoughts? I just thought it would be kind of fun to talk about something so edgy. Yeah, I actually have a little break coming up, Sherry, at the end of December here, the next couple weeks from work, so that'll be nice. Yay. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. It was good to see you all. And if you know anybody that's interested in occult knowledge, this would be a good video to share with them because, yeah, it's always an interesting topic when it comes to numerology and deities, especially ones that people are so scared of, you know. Maybe I'll put in the calendar again after the first of the year. Oh, awesome, Sherry. Yay, you totally should. Yes. All right, guys. No last questions?
Someone said, "What's my message?"
I'm trying to get a free reading. We're not doing free readings right now. Keith will be doing a class. Oh, really? Oh, I was messaging him the other day. I was telling him I wanted to see him while he's here visiting. Awesome.
That's funny. They just asked that, and I did that earlier.
What'd you do?
Well, they said, "What's the number 17 mean to you?" And
oh, yeah, and you just wrote that. Yeah, I remember you were doing that earlier. Yeah. So what does the number 17 mean to you, I guess?
Well, ironically, I had just done, what card was that? It was
the hope, the star.
Yeah, it was
right?
the star.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say it's the star. We're readers and we're like, oh, the star. What? Hey, Sherry, what class is Keith going to teach?
Pretty sure.
If any of you are interested in occult knowledge, you should totally check out the OTO here in Orlando, Florida. It's amazing if you're in Central Florida. It's a great organization.
Yeah, it was a star.
Okay, good.
All right.
So for me, I mean, I could talk about it for a minute, but you kind of asked me, right?
Ahead.
So 17 to me is 8. It's a higher octave of 8 because you're taking 1 and 7. 1 plus 7 is 8, and eighth house has to do with Scorpio, death and resurrection, the phoenix. So it's strength, inner strength merging with souls, right? And when you take that to a higher octave, it gives you faith. Stop hitting the table.
I'm shaking you.
This is going to be the bounciest video I've ever done. So 1 plus 7 is 8. Higher octave would be faith, because when you go through reincarnations, when you go through death and the experience of death, it brings you to faith in the fact that there is no death, right? So that's my take on 17. Okay, cool, Sherry. Yeah, let me know when he's going to be teaching that class and what it is and everything. I'll come see you soon. Next week I'll be off, so I'll come see you. Maybe I'll drag Maddie along with his tarot cards and stuff. She has some really cool decks, by the way. Yeah, she has a rock and roll deck.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night. Thanks so much for joining. It was really fun. I'll post his link. And yeah, anything else you wanted to post or anything, or just your link? Just wanted to ask you real quick.
Yeah, I can give them a link. It's fine.
Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. It was fun seeing you all. And I will see you Monday for your tarot scope. I'm Brandy Joy. And if you want a reading or astrology, let us know. Good night.